We don't.
I didn't send any minutes out because I was writing budget stuff, so you're gonna get some minutes next
We
month.
have no minutes.
So,
Okay,
but you do have visitor comments per your request on the agenda.
pardon.
You have visitor comments on the agenda now. It's number 2.
And we have a visitor,
As discussed, and I'm sure our visitor, Mr. Buck, is here to speak. So-
right? So I guess we would just like.
Hey, good. They've all run this.
Yeah, I think-
conference, so.
3 minutes, right?
Yeah, 3 minutes, yeah.
Same rules all around.
Same rules. No, I sent an email out and I just wanted to follow up on it. I believe artists have visions, they have visions in their head about what things look like and they make it happen. And I think for the sculpture garden, which I'm glad it's called the sculpture garden, not the sculpture park, because I think it was meant to be a garden from the very beginning. Number one, it's naming it after Jerry, and I hope that happens sometime this spring. But the more expansive vision encompasses the 2 cutoff side streets, which in the 24 years I've lived here are unnamed. They don't have names, they're just cutoff streets, right? From Kirkham on to Gore and Gore on Kirkham. Is that there are a lot of cities, art cities, that have blocked permanently off certain streets. And then they painted like colorful murals on the streets. And they become walking space, community spaces. And to have those 2 streets border the sculpture garden just seems like a good idea and a more expansive vision. And you could get Marilyn Bradley, you could get John Ahern, you could get other artists in this town that could design it, the outline. And then you could have like paint day and have the community come and actually paint in, it's like a coloring book, and paint in the different squares and shapes, stuff like that. I think Ron Zager had the idea to name the 2 streets after Jerry, like Welch's Way and Jerry's Place would be kind of cute. But again, it's beyond the sculpture park. It's in a more expansive vision of what it is. And then at the Gore and Kirkham entrance, hopefully one of these days, we have Webster Grove City of the Arts with our slogan, which leads to my last comment, which I sent around to some of you. This thing that Mary Martin at Green Door Gallery sent out from the Americans for the Arts. And it's called Why Arts Matter. And they did a profile, a state fact sheet of all 50 states of the cultural and economic value of the arts to their state. And on the one in Missouri, it's very comprehensive, a lot of numbers, a lot of facts and stuff. They list 13 different cities. Not one of those cities is Webster Groves. And it just hit me that given our heritage and history in the arts, should we be doing more to publicize ourselves to the outside world of what the arts mean to our city? And so I emailed Jen Starkey, and Jen emailed me back, and they just said, has the city ever done any of that stuff? Outward promotion of itself. And she said, they've done stuff during holiday seasons for shopping and business districts, but not really a city campaign. And so I think it's an opportunity. That's it. Thank you. And I'm gonna sit around and listen.
Okay. Thank you, David. Comments?
So generally, when we take public comments, boards and commissions, council don't,
We don't.
you don't respond immediately. However, if there's something that you would like to make an agenda item at your next meeting, then that's usually the format. So the commission can decide if they would like to put this on the future agenda for discussion.
What is the consensus? Could we put it on the next month?
I think that would, blocking off roads, making things walkable probably ties into the entire comprehensive plan.
Right.
So would be considered that.
Chance, what I hear you saying is probably just advising when the comprehensive plan folks
Yeah.
meet with you of that,
That's
but
something to
not
consider,
necessarily
yeah.
take your agenda time to discuss it.
Right, because everything that we do
Yeah.
with public art needs to come to that.
So we put this on the agenda next.
So next month, you do have the comprehensive plan consultants with you, and so I think really what Janice is saying is not on your agenda for your discussion, but really to say comprehensive plan,
Including,
look at this as a placemaking opportunity for us. That make sense?
yes,
Do we have a copy of the, what was submitted?
Public arts plan,
No,
No,
the annual report.
I got it.
Okay, great.
updates.
oh, we had updates, yes.
Public art plan.
So I tied in the comprehensive plan update to give you a sense of the scheduling, which is next month at your meeting. Mayor, if you want to add anything, and then I think Alex is going to run this operation. I've got the other files up on the screen, but I printed off for everyone who's here, the Word document that got emailed out. Nadia, did you get that? I'll put it up on the screen as well, so.
Just a little context. So, the leadership team from Lakota Group who's doing our comp plan, they were in town last week and did a series of events. I think a couple of you maybe participated in some of them. 13 different, listening sections, as well as an open house type event. And now they're starting next phase. Council will have a meeting with them. I think it's the end of this month. Maybe it's early June, I can't remember. But then they're gonna start to go to boards and commissions as well. And so this is the time for this board to, present the public art plan, and it can be a working document. It doesn't have to be a finished document. But, just to make sure that they understand why we believe public art should be part of the comprehensive plan, so that that becomes something that is woven through it rather than an add-on after it's completed.
Yeah.
So that's just.
Are they coming to this board or commission next meeting in June?
Yes.
They wanted to come today and we postponed them.
Okay. So I would recommend that you would at the next meeting, just share this document. Give me any and all edits, of course, today, or continue to give me edits. We can revise it. I'm sure I didn't include all the edits that I received. But because it's a living document and then it would just be shared with master planners and consultants, it just continues to evolve and shape anyway. So unless as you go through here, or if you've read it previously, there's anything that jump out at you that you go, this really needs to change, or this isn't aligned with what I believe the mission of the commission has.
So has everybody read, I assume read through that after that.
Hopefully sent all edits to. As well, so.
I have no comments on it. I think appreciate you doing the work of summarizing some of the key points.
And a lot of that stuff's already in there. Those are
Yeah.
ordinances that are written.
Yeah.
So it's like, all I'm doing is just pulling
Just
from
emphasizing.
all I'm doing is just pulling from things that already exist, the comprehensive list of public art in Webster Groves. I mean, these things and resources are already on our website and integrated within our systems. It's really just trying to pare it down to a one page. And then put some executive summaries around it and things like that. The things like the public art objectives, that is, instead of, you can add those addendums in terms of those particular maps and drafts, so you can have reference points as pertains to gateways, nodes, and paths. But all I'm doing is just pulling that apart to try to summarize it a little bit. Also, what I'm advocating for is, dollars, resources to advocate to it, which I'll always do, because if it's a priority, what are the actual dollars? It doesn't have to go directly to a public art fund. It doesn't have to go directly to a particular artwork, but it has to go holistically to the understanding of a creative city and what City of the Arts is. So it's like, I don't care what department it falls under, but it's like, how can you think about a creative city, an engagement for the arts, and integrate it into planning holistically, right? Like what that means. Some of the things I've talked with Rick about is like, okay, well, you're doing a park and you're doing play features and playscapes and things like that. It's like, how do you integrate the creative artist into that practice, rather than just going down the street and ordering it a $10,000 vendor. It's like, give the opportunity to an artist to do the exact same thing better and more creative.
So what I'm gonna suggest, because you all can create this plan, but remember, council is the one who has to really adopt it. And so once this board commission is comfortable that you have a final version, we have a form, and Eric and I'll help you get it filled out, the requests, work session time for the council, have this presented to the council for two reasons, well, three reasons. One, as a formality, it has to be adopted. Two, council turnover over the last couple of years has been such that there's nobody left on council who was around when this was first developed. So it's an educational opportunity for those of us who are elected, and frankly for staff, because we've had staff turnover as well. And then the third thing about that is, as we think about funding sources, ultimately, however we set it up, it's going to go through council. And so we need to begin to put that on the radar of the entire city council, that this is something that is a recommendation from this commission that we talk about in the context of budgets, or when we get funding for things. When we do we have a Safe Streets for All demonstration grant, but we'll do an implementation grant. When we start doing walking paths and things like that, maybe that's a time to build into that grant some of the things that you all have been talking about. So to achieve what you're talking about, there's some education that needs to be done in this building as well, I think.
Point taken, but for clarification, it's my understanding that we're presenting something that we want to see brought into the comprehensive plan. So what's I love the idea of having a conversation, education, but what's the specific reason for asking the council to adopt this sort of?
Because this is, right now, this is ideas that you have that are good ideas, but it's not on the radar at all for council, and it's not official city policy until council adopts it.
Okay.
And I think it's fine for the discussion with the comprehensive plan people to go ahead and just say, we have this draft, because there are no problems in here. The thing that the council is going to want to discuss is, how do we get the funding mechanism? What does that look like, and over what period of time, and so forth?
Isn't the funding mechanism, don't we have a foundation, not a foundation, but wasn't
There is an art fund, there's a public art fund, yes.
Uh-huh.
But it's not as flexible as people probably want it to be.
Okay.
So if there's another alternative
Okay,
that you all recommend, that would be a discussion.
okay.
Did you also say that it is not a 501c3, so we'd have.
I'm gonna defer to Eric.
So a couple things there. One, I'll just step back. Comprehensive plan is a very broad statement, right? So a lot of that, it's gonna say, yeah, we think, this is an area ripe for redevelopment, maybe a hotel or something, but it doesn't say, let's get a hotel and use a TIF product, TIF to finance it, or we need to do a sales tax, things like that. So there's smaller plans like yours would be that go to council and get approved, that are the mechanisms that implement a lot of that. So that's one of the reasons
Okay.
council acts. On the public art fund, you have no direct revenue source in there. It's really been a place for donations,
Mhm.
right? And really, I think Barbary Park was the last used. I think they have about 1,300 left in it or so. I haven't looked in some time, but it's there. The issue of tax exempt, most of our things are tax exempt, but it's not us who says they're tax exempt, right? It's the problem that we had with the Baroque concert was, I think it's tax exempt, but the IRS makes that decision, right? And, Walter and Margot, they're a private business. That makes it not tax exempt
Right.
to give donations to it. So what was that line? That's the IRS's to decide. So most of our things, if it's going to public art that we're gonna own or lease that on the space, not a problem, tax exempt. But you start getting those gray areas where someone's gonna hold title to the property and we don't have a really good agreement, we just have a verbal type of thing, is that tax exempt or not? So, and it's the IRS who decides, not us.
Mayor and Eric, so you mentioned this form. I mean, I would like to get this form completed and kind of get moving on it, because I know it'll take a minute to get it onto the agenda.
Yeah.
And then the question I also had is, the form, does it include the aspect of a board action or does a recommendation to approve something and or adopt this need to
Yes.
be written within it,
Yes.
or is it written within the form?
It's in the form.
Okay.
So really, the form is gonna be simple for you, because you're gonna refer everything to the document.
Got it.
So it'll take you, I bet, 2 minutes to fill it out.
Okay, okay. And then we vote on the form. Essentially, you guys vote to say, yes, this is our recommendation.
And it just-
And I'm gonna do something outlandish that that Eric may object to, and I think you all can go ahead and delegate submitting the form to the chair or to Alex or whoever, so that we don't have to wait a month to submit the form.
Oh.
Just have a
Right.
vote that you're delegating that responsibility. Keep things moving.
That's a very good idea, actually.
So is this form need to be submitted before we meet? with
You know what? I'm gonna go get the
or-
So the comprehensive plan process
Uh-huh,
is gonna happen in June. And the form does not need to be submitted before then,
okay.
okay? It's really, the comprehensive plan process is gonna take a year at least to get that document back, right? You know, after all the input. So you're really saying, okay, we've got this into the comprehensive plan process, but now also we want to do some implementation. And take it to council for that conversation.
All right.
So you got parallel processes.
So I make a motion to, submit the, I don't know, what's the motion exactly? To delegate submitting the motion, submitting the form for, to present to council for their consideration. Second.
But to,
Alex,
Second.
unless,
I'm just gonna start scribbling it, if Eric's okay with it and Mayor's okay
It's
with
fine.
it, and
We
then.
can scan it, it'll be fine.
And then I'll give it to Eric here after.
It's gonna be fine if you have better handwriting than I have, so just go see my notes.
If I have to translate for you, I'll translate.
And then once this is submitted, Mayor and Eric, when do you think it would be the opportunity to be present? You meet, council meets on Tuesdays. When do you think it would be within their kind of agenda?
So I think we're gonna have to finish up the budget, so I'm gonna say the earliest is probably that first meeting in July. There's
Okay.
an outside chance, maybe the second meeting in June.
Oh, June.
Yeah, second meeting in June, first meeting in July, and then we need to try and get it in there, because then we take a week off for staff to not worry about us or a meeting on, so it would be in August.
Great, so we're talking about, just to clarify, somewhere around July 9th.
second week of June.
Tuesday.
Second, we're the first and the third Tuesdays.
Yeah, so the third Tuesday in June, I think is the 19th, something like that, and then there's June 2nd, I think it is.
I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh,
July 2nd.
in June.
No, June 19th or July 2nd.
That's it, 19th, the third Tuesday in June, or the first Tuesday in July, that's your window.
So July 2nd or June
Because there,
18th.
there is on the next week, there's a council at 6 p.m. So what I'm getting confused about.
So-
In the past, being on, within this group, we didn't, I don't remember us ever
I was going,
dealing with
yep,
that.
we're gonna get to that report that you put together. Every council has to provide, every commission has to provide an annual report to the city council. So instead of having you all, last year we had PowerPoint presentations just sort of scattered all across the calendar. We have one big meeting where you all come with that little report you put together, and it includes your budget request. And that way the council can talk with you about your budget request, your work plan, how does your work plan or what you want to do for next year align up with what you're asking for in the budget.
So that's what that's.
That's what that is, yeah.
And we put in the annual report, when we worked on it, this particular task of the Board of Commission. So I think during that report as chair, it is very appropriate to say, and we have submitted, or we are about to submit to you for consideration, the public arts plan.
And I'm willing to volunteer myself and, the chair, if Tuesday, June 18th happens to be the date, I'll put that on my calendar, and then I'll also put Tuesday, July 2nd on my council meets in the evenings, right, 6 or whatever.
Yeah, so this would be likely be
Great.
about 6:30-ish. It'll be during the work session, which is from 6:30 to 7:30.
I'm gonna go ahead and put that on my calendar, just so I have it blocked. Because I have small children, if I don't, I won't make it.
Yeah.
So just on the process for the form, that's a policy recommendation form, since you're talking about a revenue stream as well. The staff will make a recommendation behind your recommendation, so the council will sort of have your words, the city managers as well, as we sort of holistically look at that in June or July.
Yeah, and let me expand and kind of mention as it pertains to just like, I guess revenue. I just want council to think about it, right?
And that's
It's-
okay.
You know, it's like not necessarily saying, hey, we need this tomorrow, or we need this in this budget. But like, what holistically can be thought of where master planning and all these other things are thinking about it? And that's how I would present it to council too, is that I just want it to be thought of.
And I'll be honest, that's sort of a relief because on the eighteenth is the final vote on the budget. So if you're asking for a revenue source on the day of the final vote of the budget, there's gonna be nothing but a no answer, right?
Yeah,
So this to me is the start of a conversation with
Yes.
council, yeah.
I want us to slowly get to a yes and how we can
Yeah.
understand what mechanisms and the right, it's all about timing, it's all about timing, right? It's like, when is the good time to get it?
We still need to vote.
That's it.
because we know-
I just
Been
real-
discussion.
real quick, I have one clarifying item, Alex.
End of conversation.
So Alex, just briefly, on the document you submitted, and Mayor will have to work with Katie, this is still the old ordinance. It's not the new board and commission ordinance, it's not posted yet,
Oh,
so,
I'm the one who did that.
so,
I pulled it off.
so,
On the
so the
website,
new ordinance, it literally just retitles, it's a renumbering that happened, so
right.
we'll get you the new number and such like that, and so you can know where it's going.
Okay.
I clicked the link and I was like, oh, yeah, that's still the old chapter 4, so.
That's right, because the codification
Hasn't
hasn't
codified yet,
gotten, yeah,
so.
okay.
So we'll get those correct numbers to you and all that, so you have it.
And then any of the commissioners, please send any additional edits as well. If I didn't incorporate them, maybe just resend an email and tell me that to do this.
Okay, so we need a second.
You already got
We
it.
had,
We have.
All those in favor, Dan?
All those in favor?
I,
See, got it? Any opposed? There we go. It's a big step, folks.
thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Alex.
So,
Team effort.
so the next section is the city of the arts.
City of the Arts banners, I have great news. They were able to get Jonathan's logo.
Wow,
The
great.
way Alex was able to provide it, so it'll be the same City of the Arts text on all the banners.
Oh,
Wonderful.
So I think they're outselling right now, in fact, so.
Perfect.
Yep. I haven't got a proof back yet, but that's, you know,
Do we have any projection of when this is finally gonna happen? Seems forever. That we've been talking about.
yeah, no, it's, I mean,
Like,
they're selling now, so the point, we should be installing, I would imagine sometime in June, we'll be putting up new banners, so
that would be great.
Can you forward the proof around
Yes.
when you receive
Yep.
it?
we'll do it.
And just say like, you please respond today or in 2 days if there's anything concerning about like,
Sure.
I'm just assuming that.
Before they start printing.
Yeah, just, I remember, you know, these are only up for a full year, so unless there's something concerning. Then, but we, if it's not like absolutely fantastically most perfect, it's only a 12-month commitment. And then we can always, you know, that it's great, they're still using the same font that we're all used to.
We should make sure and I don't know where this goes, it's not on the banner, but John that designed it, John. Here.
Yeah, yes,
We should make sure either in our website or some version as we,
so just to name him.
just to make sure that he is recognized for the continued design or being the designer of that. I don't know where that goes. It's not on the banner itself, but like, we should just continue to remember that he designed that because
Could we put it on a website?
yeah, it's something like that. Something like, it's just like when you do a photo credit on the website or something. the same thing,
Definitely.
You know.
Get hide his initials.
Yeah, that's right. Secret code.
We can drop it somewhere on your website. It's a very basic website, so we can easily get that in there. They can get the image of it and add it on there, so.
And then. Should we move on to the next sculpture garden?
I think since Judy's not here, I may be the one who knows the most about this.
Okay,
So as it turned out, I'm not sure what happened exactly. For a while, the Director of Parks and Recreation had the submission that was made almost 2 years ago, rather than one that had some indication of why it should go faster than the 4-year built-in kind of waiting period. So Judy added a little bit of language to that. It is now in front of the the Parks and Rec Commission. Typically, they meet the last week of the month, I think is. So we should know after that meeting where we stand, and then just depending on what they do, it would be scheduled for council consideration.
They're on May 22nd.
so they have to vote. If it's okay to do.
Well, they make a recommendation to council. And then from council
full
can,
council
and
has to-
council can take that recommendation or not take that recommendation, either way.
You're all recommending bodies.
Yeah, I mean.
So, and here's what I would also suggest perhaps is that, whatever they do, that the Arts Commission, when that process is finished at the Parks and Recreation Commission, maybe vote to resubmit directly to council the letter that you all have written, so that Parks will do whatever Parks does, and I really have no idea what they're gonna do, so please don't read that either way. But also then we have on the record the recommendation of the Arts Commission directly to council as well.
It's a long process. You,
It's, I think it's, to me, it's so simple that it shouldn't take this long.
well, it's so the ultimate reality is it's a parkland. So the Park and Rec Commission under the ordinances has that sort of
They do.
jurisdiction. So you have two bodies making recommendations, right? So you may end up at different recommendations, you may end up with the same recommendation. I think what the council, the mayor is saying is make sure that whatever Parks and Rec Commission says, send a letter to council. This is
Right.
what we're asking for.
Yeah.
And that way, it's up to
So
council
first we have to
ultimately.
wait till they say, okay.
Well, actually, you don't have to wait. I mean, I think what, if you would like, you certainly can just go ahead and send that on to council and just say, we understand the Parks and Recreation Commission is considering this. We wanted you to have this recommendation from us as well.
Mhm.
And again, that way we don't have to wait until the next meeting.
I
of
think
this
that would be
commission.
better, yes.
Do we need to vote to do that, or can we just do that?
I think you've already established
Yeah.
the recommendation, so it's just a matter of who's drafting that letter and getting it to the council.
So I can send, I have Judy copied me on the
Yeah,
revised letter. And I think you two are on that correspondence, but I will forward it back. And
Okay.
I would suggest maybe as chair that you just go ahead and send it
Send
on.
it
Yeah,
and send it to,
I would send it to, I'll, you know what, in the email, I'll give
You
you
send it
I'll give you the
to-
right address.
okay,
Yeah,
great,
because we can just do all of this via email.
that'd be perfect. Maybe get things going on that.
So accommodating. Getting forms.
Oh,
They've
we're-
done today.
Yeah, well, that's right.
You're on
Well,
it.
you know, some of this stuff has been around for a while, so.
Not just a figureheads or.
Okay, make sure you tell us some other things.
Charter board is gonna have a whole discussion now.
Yeah, right.
Where's the mayor?
Are you kidding? She's providing forms. That's gotta violate the charter.
No. So should we move on to the next, well, just as other updates?
Other updates is our catch-all, but we do have your arts report to
Yes.
comment on, and I'm gonna pull it up here for everyone. So thank you to all of you for your great work. This was submitted. I just cleaned up the formatting a little bit from what was sent in, and we can make changes if you want to add anything. So it's dated May 2nd when it was due. There's all your membership and your non-voting members. There is the mission, purpose, and duties right from the new ordinance of the Arts Commission. And then what you all provided was, I took the rubrics out of what to add, so that were left in there. But the bullet points on prior year accomplishments, which is in the fiscal year is what we're calling it, so fiscal 24, which we're in. And then your work plan for the next year, what you want to do. And then your budget request, which is exactly what's in the budget for you. and then long-term projects. So I am happy to go back and zoom around to wherever you want to go. We'll make sure we have no one else sitting in the waiting room as well.
Are we good with it?
You know, especially based on what Alex was talking about, perhaps we should add something in about identify funding sources, or how do we? I mean, this is just a basic, so we could talk about it this morning.
Will we have like identifying the type of art that would be appropriate for the society? We don't have. what
Right.
you're just-
Right.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of funding,
You could add it right in there and just say, and potential funding sources. Something like
Where-
that.
where
Right here,
we-
right in this. And potential funding sources. I gotta watch me type really.
just the
Fat finger in this whole thing this morning. Funding sources.
Well, that would do it.
Is there like a single summary to state like? Considering. Basically considering ways to integrate the arts into the broader. What would be like a single sentence summary of what we're presenting here?
Well, we thought if it was finalize a plan that aligns with the city's comprehensive and strategic plans. So hopefully.
Right.
Right here.
Okay,
So these 4 bullets are under
okay,
that sort of, that statement up there.
okay,
It is, as you look at the city's strategic plan, creativity is a value. So that's speaking to that, it's sort of interlaced into what we're thinking of. How do you interlace creativity for all these different processes?
And just for a little more context, as Eric said, this is the first time we're doing this way, annual reports for boards and commissions. Council has set aside a work session for our second meeting this month, so in 2 weeks, which is right after these presentations. To do what we've never really done very well before is to review these and give feedback to boards and commissions about a little bit of what council would like prioritized. In what the field of work is for these boards and commissions. So this also then, for the first time in a long time, outside of a specific proposal, council will be paying attention to broadly what you all are doing and trying to give some feedback. And that's for every single board and commission, except for the library board, because we have no authority over the library.
We haven't had a real good feedback loop there, so it's, you
No.
know, it's guidance to you as well, right? I mean, for a board or commissioner, if they're way off path, you know, it's an opportunity to help, you know, make
Is
sure.
that
we're all-
an open meeting?
It is, yeah. It's an open meeting and it is it at Webster University?
We're at Webster U and Browning Hall, the auditorium, on Wednesday, the 15th at 6:30. When the notice comes out from Katie, I'm gonna send it to all of you, so
It's at Webster.
it's at Webster
Of
U
this month?
of this month.
Yeah.
What room is that in?
It's inner
Why
science.
is it in Webster?
That's because these,
Why can't it be here?
the municipal court meets that night. On the 15th. They usually don't meet in that week, but they moved their late meeting in May up a week. So that took away a Wednesday night here at City Hall because the municipal court has rights to the chamber for court. So
Okay.
trying to get this meeting in between budget meetings and get it all in.
Okay, so what room in Webster U is it?
It's in ISB 160, which is Browning Hall. It's the Interdisciplinary Science Building, I think it's called. And then 160. You're literally gonna go in the door, you're gonna go down some steps to the auditorium, and there'll be city signs out. I'll put them all out, you know, city event with arrows. And you park right there in K, right in the parking lot, right in front of the building. They're not towing your car. Oh, we made sure. So you won't have to provide anything. We'll have copies of this for the council and such. It's just whoever's presenting comes up to the podium and presents,
Okay,
walks through it.
And you will not be, as a board or commission, limited to what, I mean, council is giving you guidance, but if you have some great idea during the course of the year, you're absolutely free to pursue it. And then it's your liaison's job to communicate with council that this is also this new issue that the commission's working on.
So for example, during this year,
Let's say we take Dave's idea about painting the streets. That isn't necessarily in here anyway, Aaron, and it might need a funding source. So if you decide that's something you want to pursue, then council liaison will have to go to council and just not have to, but should go to council and apprise them of this thing that you're now working on as well. So I just wanted you to say that you're not, when council responds, it's not as if you're tied to only the words on whatever paper that is. I want you to understand that you still have some freedom of generating ideas and things like that. It's just that we haven't given feedback to anybody, and so some people, some boards and commissions maybe have gone a little afield in some
It's
things.
a formalization of having a better conversation
Yes,
with
thank
different
you.
decision makers.
Okay, I'm gonna use that phrasing now everywhere I go. Thank you.
Formalizing hurting cats.
that would include something like the deciding after all this, that we decide, okay, next. Summer's already upon us. Next summer, we are gonna have a musical event, which we haven't done for a couple of years, or like piano fest, or whatever we wanna call it, that we're gonna do that. So we can just
Yeah.
do it.
And in fact, that form right there, if you don't have the money in your budget or you feel like you need council to be apprised, that's what that form's for. You can send as many of them as you want in, and they go up to council and they can add funding to you if they need and stuff, so. Okay. I'm not saying always gonna get all the funding. I got sometimes gotta take all the quick ones to find it, so.
Uh, Anything else
On this one.
about this? Or should we go to number 5?
That would be me. And you know what? I think I've interspersed most of my comments during the course of this meeting. So other than, the budget timeline, we're gonna finish that up, and I am grateful for the work that went into writing the annual report, and for, people being a little patient with us as we do our first cycle through of this process of presenting during the budget process and talking about what each board and commission is working on. So thanks for that.
And I will send your budget, do you all get a copy of that? I can't remember if I sent it.
You send it to me.
I will send it to all of you. You have your own new budget, all of yourself, not intermixed with anyone else. Arts Commission has its own.
Getting back to backspace about the City of Arts design.
Mhm.
Okay, so is there anything that we have to do to just make sure that we can recognize John Ahern on that? Do we have to do anything?
You don't have to do anything. I'll put it up on
You
the
will.
website.
So just on the website, recognize
Exactly.
his design.
Exactly. Yep. Put it on your
Okay,
website.
so we're good.
Yep.
I'll tell him. You can look at it yourself.
The other city update is, obviously Jenny Starkey used to be your liaison.
Yes.
Tiara Thomas has been hired. She is currently the public information officer for the comptroller of St. Louis City, and used to work for the Nashville, Tennessee Mayor's Office of Community Relations. She will transition into the Arts Commission, but at some point in the future. I'm gonna stick with you over these summer months, as she comes on, and, so that she's not just overwhelmed or drowning in any way.
Okay,
I'm drowning enough, so it's easier for me to stay afloat, so.
And
When does she start?
She starts on May 30th, so she will be here at the next meeting. I'll have her come to the June meeting and meet you all, but I'll be your liaison.
What's your name again?
Tiara.
Tiara.
Thomas.
Okay.
Yep.
And that reminds me that we are, since there was an election, we have a new member of the council who was sworn in last month. We then redo our liaison assignments. And I am unlikely to be your liaison for the next 2 years. Somebody else will do this. Part of it is a desire, I would like to stay with you all,
Yeah.
but part of it is a desire for us to shift around some so that different people understand what you're doing. So we will know, a council will tonight make those assignments, and so I'll probably come back once, but then after that, you'll be on your own, but I'll fill in when your new ones.
all right.
Who chooses? Do you choose?
No.
It is a a very complicated process for me personally, because it used to be it was all done by seniority. I didn't really like that. So now it is, everyone submits choices in a ranked order. And then I make decisions and ties based on seniority, but try and give everybody at least
Yeah.
2 of their top 4.
That's not too complicated. It's like Walton. with
It's
sugar.
not, except, sometimes people feel very strongly.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder,
Yes, ma'am.
can we get just for curiosity's sake, a list of the businesses that sponsor
Absolutely.
the banners?
Absolutely. Yes, we will get that report.
And then send them.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Yeah, yes.
We'll get that for you.
How many banners are there?
56.
56, great. I hope-
So
I hope
most
the
of you
business
obviously know
will find
that the
multiple.
major intersections have the City of the Arts, some down Kirkham, and then you really have Murdoch
Mhm.
coming into Old Orchard is all just platform the City of the Arts over there, so. In the winter, you'll have Christmas lights on those poles. Adding more Christmas lights. Oh,
It's, yeah, I'll post it.
you wanna go to Old Orchard, you can be on that commission next.
No, I love it.
It might be, actually, I can't remember now. Right,
All right, anything else? For today?
When do we all start lifetime achievement and fall planning? For those events?
I don't know.
Now,
Not now, I know not now,
Not
I,
now, but.
I don't wanna miss a meeting where you all come and you're like, oh, we should have started this meeting,
Well,
I didn't know, so.
And we talked at some point about this, being in this committee for a while now. I mean, not in this position, but as a member, is that, I always believed, that it's okay, I think that happened this year, that we didn't have to find someone if there wasn't anyone.
Mhm.
Because after a while, it got to be point, who should we give it to? And they were looking at somebody that had lived in Webster, but lives in California now, or something like this, and I'm like, okay, we can give lifetime achievement, but maybe it isn't every year. If you don't have anyone,
Are there age, what are the qualifications? I mean, is there an age saying, hey, you need to be at least 80 years old, or I mean, if somebody's in their 60s or 70s, you're going, yeah, well, they've done a
no,
lot.
there's not anything, but like it started to get a little strange trying to find it's not been defined as far as I know, it wasn't defined, saying that, and like, whether we give it to someone that's already passed away or, that kind of thing, or whether, and then again, are you looking at people that are from Webster, or are you looking for people that now live in Webster or did live in Webster? That's where it got really crazy, and no one really said one way or the other. And so I'm an advocate saying, I think it's an excellent thing, but I don't know that we should feel pressure about trying to hunt down somebody per year if there isn't anybody, because sometimes there may not be.
And how do we submit names and how are they determined?
We just submitted them within the committee. But
Sit around the table and talk.
You guys
That's how-
say-
That's all it
practice.
is, but the arts, but so in the past, I think we gave it to Mary Engelbright, who lived in Webster, an artist. And then there was one, taught at Webster. Someone,
Post
so
it on the website.
Peter Sargent.
I'm just saying that.
Dottie's
It was probably Peter Sargent you're thinking about from Webster.
Peter Sargent.
And is there a list someplace all past?
Yeah, that would be great.
Oh,
List.
I don't know where it's at, but I'll look
That
for
would
it.
be
Should
great.
that be on our website?
We'll
It
put it,
really
it
is.
should be, we can find it, put it up
It
there.
is not, it's not, no, it's not on the website. I don't even know when they started.
Yeah, it does.
That would be good.
If we have to hunt down.
Well,
Is it?
and then this,
Oh, it's in it.
let's see,
Okay.
in the fall, when we,
Could we-
posthumous, like, so I don't know, we've never really talked about that, about how do we choose? I was saying that sometimes we may not have anyone and that we shouldn't just try to find
Right.
someone to fill it up.
Something that you could consider, just looking at our agenda here in the naming request of the sculpture garden. I know you've all celebrated Mayor Welsh quite a bit already. But if you were to name, if it does pass and that naming request does go through, there's an alignment there. As it pertains
Yeah.
to lifetime of the arts, naming a sculpture garden, you're hitting two birds with one stone. I don't know if she's already been celebrated enough. That would be for commission to.
Well, but then again,
Decide.
what this particular one, the heading of the recognizing someone in the art would be, is normally somebody that not as an advocate, but,
I think it.
I like the idea of a civic and or philanthropist. I mean.
okay, so it could be an advocate
An
instead of the
advocate.
actual.
So I wouldn't.
We have had the organizers of the Jazz Festival, both got lifetime achievements there.
That's
And Dan is a musician, he is, but I
Joe's
think
not.
the recognition was for that organization rather than his.
For their contribution to
Right,
arts.
so
and
we,
Webster,
but we probably should then maybe look at that and define that better about, because in the, what I remember seeing was, it was someone that was in theater that did something or was an actual artist,
Sure.
music, sculpture, whatever. So if we expand it to someone that supports the arts, that's what we're saying. We probably should maybe do that.
I think-
He's trying.
I do think it would be useful to have, even if it's a very general sense of what the criteria would be for consideration and what the goals of giving the award are. That will tend, if nothing else, to help make our conversations more pointed and more effective. And I think I will also say, when I first got on this commission, a lot of names got bandied about for things of this nature with very little background for newer members and for turnover. And it would be really useful if when we start making nominations, if we could have some kind of backup information that we all could consider as we look at what it is. And again, I do think, to Alex's point and when what we said about the Jazz Festival, I do think, advocacy for the arts can be part of it. We could talk about a career in the arts. You could talk about someone who is a teacher of the arts. I mean, I could see where there could be different kinds of categories, So I think that making those criteria would be useful.
Think about the school district. I mean, how many art teachers within Webster School District or a university or things like that, where it just, it hits all those buckets and it's so
Yeah.
easy.
And I think, I suspect there's always someone somewhere in our city who is worth recognizing.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd be willing to pull something together if you would send me what you think should be considered.
There's the list. I'll put it on your website as well.
Oh, good.
But I think this sentence right here, for their contributions and excellence in the arts, is probably the most shaping sentence that you have about
Right.
how they're supposed to be selected, so.
We did it now.
So a comment that I have about the lifetime achievement in the arts is, especially if we move forward with some sort of funding mechanism, is that it should evolve into a fundraising activity,
Yes.
a celebration and fundraising activity for public art in Webster.
Wait a minute, so we would honor someone, but how would you?
Tickets.
Tickets.
Oh,
Auctions.
right.
Raffle.
I never thought
So
of
like
that.
the whole reason why you give award, like,
Yeah.
so when I worked in DC, the whole reason why you gave awards to people was to raise money.
Really? Yeah, I never really thought of that. Yes, that is, I never thought of that. The whole time sitting as a member, no one even thought about that. In fact, we just had a little budget. and
That's
I
why you
think
need a non-artist.
couple of times. Yeah, it was like we did I remember I brought in my little speakers like for music and, you know.
It
and
should
then
be, I mean,
And it was just a budget of serving, of honoring that person, but that was it. So it was a small group. No one even.
You
But the
give
other
that
thing is
person's honor
yeah,
what you do, and then you also advocate for.
I never
sometimes
thought
you-
about that. So.
for
you-
what your mission is, you're
But
advocating. for
if you
this,
sell tickets, then that doesn't mean, do you have, like, this sounds crazy, but then what I remember is that we had to go, okay, well, now what about our budget for refreshments, you know,
Well,
seriously?
no, and that's all a consideration, and also we're a public entity, so there, I would assume that there may be some legal considerations
We
between.
can't make
that
a
can-
huge windfall, right? I mean,
Right.
if you somehow brought in $50,000, we might get in a Hancock argument there about
Yes,
fees and
right,
such,
right,
but.
but you would say sell, and
Yeah.
of course, I mean, there weren't very many people that showed up for this thing, so I remember.
But also, but
They were
that's,
not except from council.
I'm not saying necessarily this year or even a big thing this year, but if you do just a little bit more to promote or spend just a little bit more and add some way to, at the very least, see if we can recoup those costs, but that's
So you would charge, or you would
it's
charge
just,
like.
it's just the seed of an idea.
You could put together something that, people give money to, like, have an idea or a focus.
Well, it's like a
volunteering.
contribution.
Well, a
Maybe
volunteer,
see-
people can volunteer and it can be put in the name of whatever that person that we're.
In
If
honor
we're
of-
doing, it would make sense with Jerry Welsh.
Yeah.
That we would say, and, you know, by the way, we have this.
Make a contribution to
I was
that.
gonna say,
Yes,
instead of a
that's the
ticket,
word,
you could say,
contribution.
yeah, that you would make it a contribution.
Yeah.
Okay, but then would they say, oh, would you say, do we get off on the taxes if we contribute? I don't know, would that make a difference?
Yeah,
In that case, yes, because it's our word, it's our
Well,
word.
that would be good, then some people that have
But if-
pocket.
Then you
I
can
think
always
there's-
say tax deductible.
There's a lot of facets there. I will go back to what Dottie said, though. I don't think there's a form, even for your own, you know, like, you may know an artist and you just sort of drop the name.
That's
If you're
exactly.
gonna go a little wider, think what the chamber does. Chamber of Commerce gives out awards that they ask the whole community to nominate, and so you may want to allow
Nominate.
community nominations. Plus, that gives you some of that rigor. Is this person really in the arts, or are they in the business side, you know, or something like that? So it's just possibilities.
And I make matrix to qualify very subjective things all the time, so I could help with like
That'd be
a
great.
scoring, if we can come to that. If we go in that direction, of asking for public comment.
By the way, people have been,
Yeah.
people have been suggesting that some people, a couple people have suggesting I should have a mayor's ball. Apparently that's what happened. So maybe we should have a mayor's ball and then honor the
So I,
That would be kind of cool.
We could talk about all sorts of different textile arts, you know, all that kind of stuff in one night,
costuming.
right?
Is this something?
Dottie's like, really, are we, what did we have during this meeting?
No, but I think it begs the question too of just in general, when we do things, getting a little more visibility for what's happening in addition. And that down the road is helpful in all ways.
it's not you.
In setting modest, I mean fundraisers, setting modest goals, like I'm even thinking like $10,000, that's a modest goal to me. Is that like, you're just establishing some type of benchmark that goes, look, we've done X, Y, and Z, just like we have the past awardees. We should probably also have all the past projects that have been approved by the Art Commission as well, because that is in a sense the portfolio of the impact that you've done in the community. So not
Yeah.
only kind of the public art that exists within Webster, but it's like, what has the commission actually already fundraised for and done? And that shows the impact every single day. We drive past these parks and these places every single day, but we sometimes do not realize the people or the commissions behind it that actually made the resources happen.
So,
Actually, I really like that public comment, because then we can have people like, our art teacher is the best, and they should be recognized.
And you
And-
publicize in the Webster Group Times that
Yes.
you can put in for it, so.
so should we think about defining the Lifetime Achievement Award, then we really, it's
Yeah.
never really been defined, honestly, as far as I know, it hasn't. Should we define it better?
That probably has to be the first step. If you're
I
gonna make
think,
public
Because
comment.
before it was
Oh, yeah.
just like general, and then like I told you,
Yeah.
they had a little reception like in this room, seriously. Like I said, and I brought my little music thing, they wanted music, and that was it. And it was just like a little reception for that.
So again, if we want to put it on the agenda to define it, if people want to send me, these are things I think we should have in it. I'll pull it together and send it to people so we can talk about it. And
Perfect, great. So should we put that on the agenda to define that, since that's something we,
So in
next
June,
week,
we'll talk about
next time.
comprehensive planning. That's the major focus, and then we'll do lifetime achievement in the arts.
That
Yeah.
perfect.
Okay, is there anything else that needs to be on that one in
And
June?
any other any other
That's a lot of
requests?
business.
No,
That's
exactly.
a
It's a
lot.
lot of business,
I
but
think that's
there
a lot.
may be any summer art programs. They may be coming to us, so
would-
Jazz Fest.
We did
and
get,
stuff.
but I think we forgot to mention this, we did get notification that Baroque is gonna happen this summer. And
So we're gonna need those requests.
That's always
Yeah.
in July?
Yeah.
It
I
seems
won't
like
tell you
it-
what the date is.
And they're
I'm not never.
With Walter and Margot, basically, they run.
Yeah, yeah, I'm assuming they're gonna be making the request for money.
July 12th.
After Fourth of July.
July 12th is the proposed date.
I'm never here.
Oh, for
I
that,
want to come.
Yeah.
For Borough.
Yeah.
And then what about Jazz Fest?
we haven't, oh, you mean the actual jazz?
Jazz Fest is always the third Saturday in September,
Okay, so we got time on that.
and you have arts fairs coming up the first Saturday here, and first weekend, and then street dance is third Saturday.
Is that a calendar that is also on the Webster
Art fairs, man.
website,
It is when people turn their stuff in, so,
if they turn it in?
yes, I mean, I can put up the basic information, but I try to, you know,
Basic,
keep
yeah.
it alive and nice, not just my one sentence, so.
So, one of the things that we've run into. Margot needs to know, and I apologize, she wrote the email to me and I forgot to raise it in my comments. I think there does need to be a formal vote for the borough to be one of the sponsors events. You've budgeted for it, it's in part of your plan, but I do think it still needs to be voted upon.
Okay,
So maybe if someone would make that motion and you guys can have a vote.
Today,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
okay.
just for Margot's planning process, I think it would be nicer to tell her that it's already,
and it's in the budget.
I have it right here.
$100. I believe it's in the budget for 14.
yeah, I can read this. So, ask your support and partnership again for the fourth borough concert, July 12th in Larson Park, and confirm the date with the Parks Department. Do you have time to meet with us? I didn't do that yet. I will do that, but I'd like to meet with her and, tell her that you all have already, approved that.
I'm gonna check.
And how much is she requesting?
She didn't request an amount.
How much did we budget?
it just depends what we
We
budget.
budgeted for $1,400.
I think that's right.
I think it's 1,400, I'm just checking right now as we're talking, so. 2 seconds to click the other line here,
And just so you all know, the theme is,
4,400 total for outdoor concerts.
so it's a piano theme this year. Royce Martin, who's a New York pianist, will be here. And they're gonna have Jackson Pianos, bring a real grand piano to the Borough stage, which would be nice. I wanna watch how they get it there. That would be,
Down
Lots
that
of
hill.
guys, lots of guys.
Do they have the stage at the bottom of that hill?
Lots of black. But you got 4,400 in for outdoor concerts.
Okay, so we're gonna take it from there for the,
That's where it would come from for sponsorships.
all right.
So whatever amount you want.
So are we looking for motion to sponsor Burr Oak and fund them in the amount of $1,400 as we have budgeted?
I second.
Second.
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Yeah.
Oh, no, now we vote.
Vote, discuss and vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome.
yeah, I apologize for that last minute add-on. I should have been on my game a little better. Too worried about forms.
Was getting through the first 3 events, Mr. Bucksy event this weekend before I even thought about the next one, so.
Eric, I'm gonna have I have to scoot out.
Okay, thanks,
Okay.
Tony.
See you
Thank
next
you.
month.
See you next month.
So next month we have comprehensive plan and lifetime achievement in the arts. Anyone else has?
And then placeholders for any, for jazz, any other festivals that are coming out, just so that
Sounds good.
banner update if
Yep.
needed.
All right. So do we have, move to adjourn? Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
All right, thank you for
Thank you, Jen.
getting all this stuff done.